And Mr. J asked me to say, and I quote, "Kane has had another great year. He's worked hard, and I know some of his classroom teachers will question this, and committed himself to qualifying for the Junior Olympics this year." Kane set a goal to qualify for the Junior Olympics early on. And he hadn't done that in years past. He hadn't made the Junior Olympics, hadn't qualified, but he set that goal early. And he did qualify for the Junior Olympics this year, and this allowed him to compete with the best swimming athletes in the state, and he did quite well over there. The main thing that Howard J. said, that he would just like to thank Kane because he has been a great role model and a leader for the young kids in the program. And he stressed that immensely. He said the program would not be for the younger kids, would not be what it is without Kane Barnett. And he regrets not being here, and he gives his thanks and congratulations to Kane Barnett. Don't have any rewards for them because they already received them, but I did want to talk a little bit about it. These guys started competing in middle of August. It's not like many of the other sports. Most of even though it's a fall sport, most of their competition in August, they go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and compete each week all around the state. And they did quite well. We have 2 freshmen and a sophomore on the squad. They all qualified for regionals. They didn't shoot real well at regionals, but I think they were a little pressured. Their Nick's best score was an 81 at Aspen, and I've shot that for 9 holes. So Cam's best score was an 84, also at Aspen, and Andy's best score was, he thinks, an 80, and he thinks at Durango. But they did an outstanding job. Coach Bird is looking forward to having them back next year, and I'm looking forward to more kids from Roaring Fork being involved in the program. And I would like to congratulate these 2 young men.
All right, well, another new coach. Let me see, let me have all my soccer players come up here. Good group of kids here. I'll just kind of mirror what Pat Henry said. We did have kind of a rough year this year. We were in a lot of games and just didn't quite go the distance. I'd like to thank Pat for mentioning the 2 Glenwood Springs games. These guys did really work hard this year. I don't think their record was reflective on how well they really played. The comment I would make is every game that I saw, these guys got better and better, and just had some hard times. One guy I'll mention, Cam over here, he hit the post about 16 times this year, and we want to congratulate him on that. Anyway, I'm real proud of these guys, and it's a really young team. We had a bunch of sophomores, a bunch of freshmen, and we've got 3 more years with these guys, and it's just going to get better and better. We've got good freshmen coming in, and we've got a good base to build on. And they learn every game, and they get better every game, and it's just going to get better and better. I can guarantee you that. So let's not dilly-dally around here. I'm going to start with with the certificate awards. Just come up here when I call your name there, guys. Ed Gal. Okay, let's see. Josh Mulry. Here's your participation. Josh worked real hard this year. He had a couple of injuries that kind of set him back. We're looking for big things from him next year. So he got forced into playing keeper on JV a couple of times, and he's never played it before, and he did a great job. So we're real proud of him. Oh, Barry McCorville. Barry was also a keeper on JV. He was a little weak coming in. We worked with him. He's just like the rest of these guys. They were eager to learn. They listened to what we had to tell them, and they did what we told them. And by the end of the year, he was doing great. Jessica Karlberg, our Swedish girl. There's your participation. You're welcome. We gave Jessica a hard time this year. We kept asking her if she was in those Swedish commercials for the beer. But she's nothing like that, so she's a good player, I'll tell you. She kept comparing herself to the guy, saying she wasn't as good, and I kept telling her she was actually a little bit better because she had a little bit more sense. But she was a little intimidated. But she did a great job, and I think she showed these guys some things or two. Kind of pushed them around a little bit and surprised them. So we're real proud of her, too. Justin. All right. Justin, he's one of my freshmen, and I'm looking for big things from him next year. He came in this summer, and the thing I remember most about him, these guys started pushing him around a little bit, knocking him on down on the ground, and I said, Justin, are you going to let these guys push you around like that, or are you going to get up and push them back? As soon as I did that, he went up to Simi Smilak and just nailed him and just threw him to the ground. And ever since then, these big, tall guys kind of watch out for Justin, so he's a maniac out there. Badgett? Is she here? Well, Beth Badgett, I'll tell you, she did a real good job for me this year. She gets my vote for most improved, just so you guys know that. Okay. And that's it for the certificate awards for participation. Now we'll go to the letter awards. Okay, Simi gets a bar this year because he already lettered, so he gets a little one here. Simi, we're real proud of Simi too. He started out in defense this year, did a real fine job at defense. I started having problems with keepers, and Simi came up to me and said, "Give me a chance, coach." So I said, "Okay, you're going to do it." Put him into a game. He turned into Conan the Barbarian, and he did a real fine job. Just to tell you how good a job he did do, he did make the all-conference team this year for defense and keeper. So he did a fine job. Thanks. Yashi, brother of Simi. All right. Yashi did a real good job for us too this year. He started out down on JV. He came up to me when I put him on JV because he said, "What do I have to do to make varsity?" I told him what he had to do. A couple of weeks later, he did it. He came up to varsity, and he did a real fine job for us. He was an asset to both the varsity and the JV. He did play both sports, both teams. Sorry, sports. Anyway, this is the first time I've done this, so bear with me. Van Fisher. Van's not here. Okay, just one quick thing about Van. I wish he was here. Van also got the award for our most valuable defensive player, as well as his letter. So he'll be receiving a plaque for that. Chad Knaus, another one of my freshmen. Another one guy that I'm real proud of. Like I say, I'm proud of all these guys, but I'm especially proud of my freshmen. They came in, they made a big difference to the team. Chad went from, he was playing midfield the first half of the year and then went to defense the second half of the year. He filled in where I needed him to be, and he did a fine job, and he was tough back there. I'm looking for big things from him. Derek, come on up here, Derek. One of my seniors, him and Cindy there. We're going to miss our seniors next year. Get a bar there. Derek played defense for me. He played on the left side, and I'll tell you what, not much got in on the left side when Derek was there. He was a fine defender. He worked hard, and he did everything that was expected of him too. Alvin's probably not here, seems how Beth isn't. Chad, Renzi. Well, you know, I had to cough something. Okay. Renzi, what can I say about this guy? He's a wild man too. Those of you who know him, I guess, would know. He played wing and midfield mostly for me. Saw a lot of improvement in him as well, as I did all these guys. I know I keep repeating myself, but I see a lot of good things here. Oh, Reed. Reed came. A bar. Reed is, he's how do you describe this guy? He played wing most of the year. He did a fine job. He did such a fine job that he got my most valuable offensive player as well. So come on back up here. Congratulations, you'll be getting a flag. That's what I put up with all year from this guy, too. Kept me guessing all year. I never knew it. Okay, Cam, come on up here, Mr. Barr. And I don't say bar as in bar of a letter, I mean the bar man. Like I said earlier, he hit the post about 16 times this year. He has this radar for the post. He could be 40 yards out and hit the crossbar. He did that in several games, so we're real proud of him about that. I just want to shake his hand. I keep telling him the purpose is to hit the net and not the bar. You don't get any extra points for hitting the bar, but he never did understand that, I guess. There again, one of my freshmen, I'm looking for big things. One thing about Cam, I'll say also, he did, as a freshman, make honorable mention to the all-conference team. And I told him at the beginning of the year I had a feeling he had that potential, and he didn't believe me, and now I can say I told you so. And Aaron. There you are. Big ol' Aaron. He's I'll tell you, I've got 3 maniacs on the team, and without him, I don't know what I would do. Aaron would, if I get frustrated, I could put him in the middle. I could say, "Go get those guys, get the ball for me." And Aaron, he'd be in there jumping over people's backs, pushing them out of the way. And you couldn't tell he was a hockey player out there, I'll tell you what. Congratulations there. 3 freshmen later in this year, I'm real proud of them. That's it for me. I'm done. I won't take up any more of your time. I'll tell you what, though, I'm real proud of these guys, and they deserve a big hand, and you're going to see good things.
Real honestly, I'd rather be shocked than do this. As much as I talk, this is hard. I'd like all the cheerleaders to come up on the stage, please. I'd also like to ask Aaron Harrison. Yeah. And Lori Danielle to come up. Just going to read this, folks, so bear with me. After working at the middle school for 10 years, and raising my son for 400 years, raising Dane for 20, I felt that I knew most of the answers, when it came to young people. Then Pat Henry gave me 7 girls to coach in a sport that I knew absolutely nothing about. At 43, I never dreamed I could learn so much. We started camp at DU, that's in Denver. I had never driven in Denver. And then I drove over with 7 girls. We had 1 million fundraisers. We've traveled 4 million miles in the yellow bananas. We've seen each other's more than we've seen our families, and we've worked hard, and I feel succeeded. I'd like to introduce you to our cheer squad. First of all, Aaron Harrison became a special member. Aaron was a special part of our team. And being the only boy in a group of girls is hard work, but hey, somebody had to do it, We appreciate you, Aaron, and wish you luck in basketball. Morrow's not here, but you had to see it to believe it. Morrow broke up our camp with her first cartwheel. I mean, the entire 40, 50, 60-some people could not believe that she was really doing that on purpose. But her hard work ethics and her willingness to learn made her an outstanding member of this team, and I look forward to working with her in years to come. Don Frederick. Living up in Marble, it was an extra problem for Don to make it to all the practices, make it to everything that we had to do. But she did a really good job. She had a very successful season. Dawn is going to go on with the speech team, but we've enjoyed you while you've been with us. And here's her letter. Rachel is always 20 minutes late. I don't care where you're going, she's late. When she makes it on time, she forgets something and has to leave and go get it. She'll be late to her funeral, but she'll be giggling all the way. She's a pleasure to know. She's a pleasure to work with. Beth Zanizer had to work. I gave her a name, and since she's not here, I can tell you what it is. It was Eeyore. You know how Eeyore said it's gonna be another gloomy day. But Beth came so far, you wouldn't believe it. She's shown outstanding improvement this season in all areas, and her hard work has made her an important part of the team. Jenny Cox also can't be with us tonight, but her commitment to excellence is a valuable part of our success, and her quiet humor has kept us going many times, and I look forward to the next season with her. Jenny Groves was co-captain on our team, and she has been a pleasure to work with. She's always willing to put forth the extra effort for our success. Jenny's not going on with us. She's going to relax, kick back, and look out her senior year. Thank you, Jenny. Christy Alexander. Christy loves me, and Christy hates me, and Christy and I are good friends, and Christy is the captain of our team. Her dedication and hard work have been invaluable. She not only had to teach the new members in this team, she had to teach me everything. How do you put on what do you call it? Everything we did. I didn't know what she was talking about. It is with pleasure and pride that I award the MVP to her. Thank you, Christy, from all of us, and let's have another good season. Now somebody really special, near and dear to all of us. This is Tom Benio and I's biggest tug of war. My honorary member, one of my most outstanding team members. She made almost every practice and almost all the games, Miss Lori Benio. That's it, thank you.
Pretty close to you.
I don't ever use the microphone. I think you can probably hear me all right. As Mr. Henry alluded to earlier, I was real glad to see the decision made, along with the Booster Club and everybody else, coaches and players, all their input, to have the awards night together like this. I know it can be tedious, I know it can be lengthy and everything else, but I think you got to keep in mind why we're here. Now, we're looking at a couple hours tonight, and we're looking at a bunch of athletes who spent a couple hours every night or more from the middle of August until end of October or November, just whenever, their seasons ended. And, it's to recognize athletic efforts like that I think is why we're here and why it's important. And I think it's real hard to begrudge one more public recognition of the kids, the athletes, the managers, the players, the cheerleaders, the filmers, the stats, the everybody's that help make sports what they are and such an integral part of the high school experience. And I'm glad that we're doing it here. I'm sure if anybody has other ideas and input, we'd love to hear some other suggestions as to how to make it even better and perhaps more meaningful. So please, if you've got some thoughts on that, I think it would certainly be welcome. But I know it seemed a little shallow and hollow last year not having the cheerleaders here, the football team, the soccer, the golf, everybody all together as athletes. And I think it's just a lot of fun. But we did have an interesting volleyball season. One that was a lot more successful than the records would show. Yeah, I tried to cut my wrist, and that's kind of the way the season went. We just missed on a lot of things. But we did have a lot of people, other than the athletes and coaches and things, that did contribute to our success, and I'd be remiss not to mention them and acknowledge them at least a little bit. I want to thank the Booster Club for sponsoring this night and the awards we have and everything else. Mr. Henry and the administration, and certainly the secretaries, Raleigh and Patty. I don't know what I'd do without you guys fielding the phone calls and running all this and redoing this and rescheduling and everything else for us. It's just a big, big help, and you two sure made coaches' jobs go a lot easier, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And just a huge thank you to the lady that preceded me here, not Lori, but Patty, and the job you did with the cheerleaders, and to all the cheerleaders who were up here. The enthusiasm, the spirit, the support that you created this year was really super. And as Patty continues to build a strong cheerleading squad, I know they went from expecting only a few to do winter cheerleading to now having 11 do winter cheerleading. She's just going to make that into a better and better program as she goes, even though we do have a natural strife causing family with Lori being involved with it, but that's okay. Lori, we're proud of you. You do a good job, and when you did your dancing this year at the football game and the pep rally, it was really special and a great job. Probably be remiss not to thank my other daughter, Angie, too. She's coming in from homework now. And, I know you missed out on some things that you wanted to do that were going on with your life, and as you're entering in middle school and everything, the things you couldn't do because of our sports and of volleyball and everything else, and I do appreciate all that, Ange, so thank you much. Had some other people really contribute a lot and help out a lot with the volleyball team this year, very directly. Cindy and Len Wardlaw, I don't think they're here. Are they here? I don't see them. But they kept score for us at all the home games and kept time for us at all the home games and on some of the road games too. This is the 4th year they've done this for us, and this is the last year they're going to do it. And if you guys see them around out in the community, you might thank them for a job well done, because they were a big help. I had a couple of people help out with filming and stats that I want to mention too, and we have a certificate for them. Paul, come on up here real quickly. Paul filmed for us this year, and don't leave yet. Quite done. Paul filmed for us, awfully responsible. Didn't drop the equipment, but once or twice. Usually brought the equipment back home after we took it to places, and just out of the blue offered to help. And we were talking and said, "I need somebody to film this." Well, I'll do it for you. And he's been very responsible, and it's nice to have people like that help out. Thank you very much, Paul. Make your lights on. I noticed that Rick did attempt to mess up your last name. Hey, we got a few more years we can mess up your last name. Hey, Rachel was on our volleyball team last year as a freshman, and had to have some leg surgery. And just came up beginning of the season and said, "Coach, could I help? I'd like to do something." And she said, "Well, I can't travel because at the time early in the year, at the cast, when the cast was brace and crutches, and it just was too inconvenient and uncomfortable for her to travel with us. But just asked, could I help them to teach stats for you?" And I said, "Hey, anytime we've got good people around that want to help out with the program, I'm thrilled to have her with us and help." And Rachel, thank you very much. Is Lauren here? No, Lauren? Lauren Harrington was also helped out with stats, not as willingly as Rachel, but broke her wrist early in the season, and ended up being a stat keeper for us instead of getting to play. I also had two very dedicated people helping me out as managers this year. Lori and Ken, you want to come forward? No, Kim's here. I assume Kim's here. I saw Mom and Dad. There they are. Good. Kim and Lori, despite having real busy schedules with VOTEC and stuff after school, volunteered. Kim's done it a couple years with me through a couple seasons now, and Lori helped out this year as well. Now, they'd have VOTEC jobs till 3:30, 4 o'clock, and they'd come back to Carbondale, and they'd be in the gym soon after. And the help they gave us with keeping stats and keeping equipment, and towels, and transporting and everything else, just invaluable. And didn't lose any volleyballs this year. And in fact, have 3 new ones that they stole. Despite the budget crunch, we did not drop to that level, although Kim said, I can get this one, Coach, if you want it. No. But they not only helped a lot out with volleyball, but they helped me personally out an awful lot with biology, because I had them grading a few times and running off a lot of stuff for my bio classes, and I do very much appreciate their efforts. They're great to have around to help, and I do appreciate them very much. They did both a letter and thank you very much, girls. Never get involved in coaching. Get good managers. They are wonderful to have. You just can't live without them. I was fortunate to have not one but 2 assistant coaches this year, and both of them very special. Both of them in different ways. Jennifer, it's okay. One I'm with more personally than the other. That's okay. Coach Scramstead, Jennifer Scramstead is a student teacher this year, and in PE up until about a week or so ago, and now has switched to finishing up her PE, her student teaching assignment in Glenwood. But she called last year and asked if she could help out with volleyball. And I said, geez, you kidding me? Of course. We'll take as many bodies as we can to help. And with 2/3 of our volleyball team being new to high school volleyball this year, she had quite a job and did a great job, particularly with our young people. And she was especially valuable working one-on-one with the girls who might have been struggling with a particular phase of the game. I know if she stood around watching JD and Nicole serve once, she was with them 1,000 serves, as they worked on that phase of the game. But Jennifer was very valuable, established great rapport with the kids. Kids really enjoyed having her around, and was a real benefit and a big help for our volleyball program. It was real tough for her when we played Glenwood Springs, as it was only 4 years ago when she was playing for Glenwood Springs herself. And still, she, even though she didn't get to sit on the red side of the floor, she had to sit on the visitor side of the floor in Glenwood Springs gym, did quite well and managed that. And we'll still be seeing her around this winter, as she'll be coaching with Glenwood Springs girls basketball team. So we'll get to see her on the other side of the fence come this next season. I'm also very fortunate to have my wife, Nancy, coaching with me for the 3rd year. It's been great being able to spend the time coaching together. We both are obviously very busy, both in and out of the classroom, and to find time to do this together has really been pretty special. With her new teaching assignment, with our new teaching schedule here, the season was real hectic at times, and more often than not, it was the couple hours we get to spend together in volleyball were some of the only time we got to see each other. But it's awful good to see her grow as a coach in confidence in dealing with the teams. And Nancy and Jennifer will come up and give out awards for the freshmen in JV now.
None?
Grinstead, we always made her sit on the outside because Coach gets a little excited sometimes during games, and we didn't want her to be frisked in the middle of the game. So we always made her sit on the outside. And if I forgot, she switched in a big hurry. Freshmen, come on up.
All freshmen.
Looking good. You guys look pretty tonight. This team was a really fun team to work with. Again, I want to show or express my appreciation for Coach Grinstead. It's really difficult to coach two teams. And for 2 years now, we've been real fortunate to have an extra coach around to help us with that. And these girls get a lot more out of whatever sport it is that's volunteering because of this extra time that this coach has given Roaring Fork High School. It means a lot. It means a lot to Coach and I truly believe it means an awfully lot to these girls. There are times if you're the only coach there and you've got two teams, it's, okay, you go over there and do this, and I'm going to work with this team. And they're on their own a lot. And with an extra coach, they got a lot of extra time, and I think they progressed because of that. I think that was really special for this year. We played at 72% for the season. We had a 5-8 record. It may not sound that great on paper, but this is a good team here, and we were real pleased that they did so well. I think they're pleased. They made a lot of progress throughout the season. Each individual really seemed to strive for what they wanted out of volleyball, and they seemed to really work on that throughout the season. I was real pleased to see that their efforts were there when they came into the gym, and they seemed to really work hard at what they wanted out of volleyball. I'll start with Megan Masunas. She played mostly defense for us. She struggled a lot with her serve. We made her serve overhand like we make everybody serve overhand, and she did improve it by the end of the season. In fact, she ended up with a 26% ace serving record for the season, and I truly believe it's because when she finally did get that serve over the net, it was so fairly over to the net, it usually scored. Amy Hayes. She was a real good, strong front row player for us. She has really good court sense out on the floor. She seemed to have her brains there. She was always where she was supposed to be, and she usually helped the person who was beside her to make sure that they were in the right place. She also was a strong enough player that if someone was absent or they weren't at a ball game for whatever reason, she was usually the one we called on to fill in that spot, and she did that all right. We were real pleased to see that. Nicole Bill. Nicole also has great court sense. She has a lot of brains to her. She really worked hard this season. She knew she had a lot to work for, and she put everything she had into it, including a couple pairs of glasses. Mine too, Mine are super glued. If you can see those marks, I've got super glue all over mine, and volleyball's thrown in everywhere. Get that in front. Erica Folker. Erica Folker was one of our setters this year. She worked really hard off too. What I liked about Erica is Erica always came in with a great attitude. She was always happy. She seemed to keep the team up. She really seemed to enjoy volleyball. When others really get down on themselves, I didn't see that out of Erica. She just put more effort and more time into it, and she really strived for that perfection and really seemed to come out and enjoy herself at the same time. Good job, Erica. Tori was a really good server. We tried to get her to have a little more consistency than what it showed for the season, but we we were really pleased when she could get that ball over, because usually when her serve was in, it scored. She had a pretty good high ace percent. Also, she was a setter for the team. She was a good all-around player. She was an excellent net player. She hit very, very well. She killed, which is a hitting statistic. When she hit, she usually scored, and she scored 26% of the time off of her hit because she had such a strong hit. She played at 75% for the season. That was the third highest on our team. Like I mentioned earlier, we played at 72% overall for the team for the season, and she played at 75% for the season. So congratulations. Taryn? We're really pleased that Taryn stuck it out. We were worried about her at first, and she really stuck with it. She ended up being a great server for us. She served at 36% ace serves. When that's direct scores for us 36% of the time. She had a 46% kill hitting scoring for us, and she also, it's a little lower, she played at 73% for the season. Kara Robinson. Kara was just an outstanding all-around player. She played back row, she played front row, she set for us. She was a good leader. What I liked about Kara more than anything is her communication. Usually, when we screamed at them to communicate, no matter where you were in the gym, you heard Kara screaming, and you knew who was taking charge out on the floor. She also played at 73% for the season. J.D. Strum. J.D. Tall. We like tall people here at Orangeburg High School. She blocked at 88% for the season. I don't know how, I didn't write down how many blocks she actually got, but height has something to do with that. We were real pleased for her for that. Need I say more? Katie Willis. Katie is just an outstanding, she is just a superb athlete. She has a 28-inch vertical jump. Now, I don't know if you know anything about vertical jump, but that's the distance between how high you stretch and how high you jump. And what was Trisha's? She has an excellent vertical jump. She played at 76% for the season. That was the second highest for the team. Good job, Katie. Jenny Emerton. Her first statistics, I don't believe I've ever seen here at Orangeburg High School at the freshman level. I'd have to go back and look at the records. She served at 93% for the season. She ace served at 25% for the season. She was our overall leading percent statistics for the season at 81%, and she attacked at 78%. She just is a good all-around player. There's your Orangeburg freshman team. Win-loss for the JV was 4-10. That record certainly doesn't show what this team is capable of doing. However, that wasn't disappointing to me. It is very difficult to be a JV team and have your varsity coach go taking all of your players and, oh boy, she really looks good this week. I'm going to take her for you. And also have them thrown back at you. That is a real struggle for them in practice and in game situations, because usually I have 5 players that also played at the varsity level. And usually during practice, those 5 players are not with us at practice for the JV. They're with the varsity. So when they come out on the floor to play a JV game, they haven't practiced all week with us. And that's real difficult. That's a lot to ask of these kids to do. I'll start with Annie Wise. Annie was one of our setters this year. She served at 91% for the season. She also played for the season season at 78%. That was our second best, and I say that with a question mark because we had 3 people that tied for first place, but Annie was right behind him at 78%. We played as a team at 76% for the season, so she beat that what the team played. Good job, Annie. Mitzi Hunter. Mitzi was also a setter for us. She was one of the 3 that tied for the highest percent for the season at 80%. Mitzi, what I liked about her was she was our spirit. Mitzi has a wonderful attitude. She just shines all the time. She really keeps you going when others are down. I really like that attitude. It really helps us all year long. Thanks, Mitzi. Jamie Hennings. Now I mentioned J.D. Tall. The other extreme. Jamie was one of our setters also. She also played defense. She couldn't do much at the net for us, so we had her play a lot of defense. She was one of the 3 that tied for all-around season at 80%. She served at 92%. We had 4 girls that served in the 90% for the season. We really enjoyed Jamie. Thank you. Jenny Peacock? Jenny was also one of our setters, and I called her Jamie most of the year. I just about did it right now. We had a lot of setters. We had 5 setters on this team, so we were able to do a lot. We could play a lot of different offenses because of our setting ability. Jenny also played defense in front row. She was a good, strong, all-around player. She was the 3rd that played at 80% for the season. Her serve was at one of the 4 that served at over 90. She served at 91%, and she wins it for spirit, though. Jenny kept us going all year long. Shelby Palmer, also a setter. We consider, she played it, obviously, you guys know, she played setter at the varsity level too. We considered her one of our stronger setters for the season. She has a nice high set, and the higher they are, especially when you have a Nicole or a JD or a Heather or a Paula or anybody that's tall, you need to get those sets up high so that, because their arms extend to the ceiling, and they've got to have it up there in order to put it down. And she had a nice high set for us. She also served at 92%, and Shelby is a competitor. It doesn't matter what Shelby's doing. I think she probably would have rather played soccer this season, and we talked her out of it. But it doesn't matter where she is or what sport she's playing. She's going to be a competitor. Good job. Nicole Jones. Again, tall. Ooh, real tall. Tallest.
I'm real proud of these girls. We struggled through a lot of things this year, and in order to make it successful, we did have some hard times. Anytime you're 3-16, you're going to have some hard times, but it did not deter the effort, the enthusiasm, and the spirit these guys. Jamie scraped by the letter with the minimum number of games necessary in order to letter in volleyball. She did help us considerably on defense in several games, and she's a very aggressive defender. Jenny came on as a fine server for the varsity level, and that's the main reason she led her. Nicole, about halfway through the season, I realized that our blocking was a bit of a problem, and our front row play wasn't quite what it needed to be. And about halfway through the season, Nicole started in the front row. I had a few of our players about the same time when I brought Nicole up to play varsity. You know, Nancy was talking about serving and serving at over 90%. I call it misconsistency. She served and sat in the back row for us. She served at 95% at the varsity level. By far best on the varsity team. Our next best was 90%. Was also a very solid setter for us and contributed heavily in our 6-3 offense. Val started virtually the whole season as an all-around player for us, front row and back row. Very solid volleyball player, tremendous amount of athletic promise, and she's going to be a fine player in the future. I really believe that we probably did not play her in the front row at her best position. We had her playing 1991 football team. We started the season on August 30th against Hotchkiss, and maybe looking back, we didn't play as bad as we thought we did, because Hotchkiss has turned out to be an excellent football team. But we got crunched pretty good by Hotchkiss, and so the next morning I went over and got Mike and Larry, and I said, we're going to go down to Cherry Creek, and we're going to watch Rifle play Eagle Crest. So I pick up my sons down in Arvada, and we go over and watch Rifle just annihilate Eagle Crest, who was supposed to be a decent 5A school. Turned out they weren't actually that good. And on the ride back, I said, well, this week it's Rifle. I hope we can hold them under 50, and I think we better start looking at some game along the line that we can win. And most of you know exactly what has happened. We beat Glenwood Springs for the first time since 1985. We beat Steamboat Springs in Steamboat. And for those of you that have followed us for years, I haven't forgotten, and I'm sure the players haven't. About 3 years ago, I stood up here and told you that we would never act like coaches do in Steamboat. If you recall, with about 5 seconds left in the game, they called a timeout to fake a field goal against us, 20 points ahead. And I don't know if in the last 6 years we've ever had a victory as exciting as the one at Steamboat Springs. And every one of those kids should be really proud of that one. The victory over Steamboat sent us into the state playoffs for the first time since 1985. And I feel like I just kind of got off the field at Olathe because this was so quick. And it's kind of a compliment to these kids that a lot of them are disappointed that we're actually having this meeting tonight, because we'd like to be playing for a couple of more weeks. But all in all, I think when they look back, they can be extremely proud of just an excellent football season. And we'd like to thank, I'll start thanking some other people, we'd like to thank all of you in general, the parents, the cheerleaders, the volleyball team, everybody that came out and supported us. We had our first fan buses for the first time since 1985, and it was just, I wish it was August again. Even at my age, I'm ready to start over again. I'm so excited. But it was a lot of fun, and we really thank you. I've got some special thank yous. I need to thank Rick Harrington, who stood on the sidelines, and it's really a peace of mind when you have medical personnel there to help you when you have an injury during the football game. So thanks to Rick. Would you stand up, please, Rick? Mark Cook, who's a dentist in town, came up with the idea that he had some better mouthpieces than the ones they give us through the sporting goods stores, and he came and fit all the youngsters for mouthpieces. Here, this is payment for you, David. You have at least another year with us, right? Jason, you have 3 more. This sure worked out real well for me. Thank you. Troy, I appreciate it. I wish you could have played. Thank you. Thanks, you guys. My most special thanks are to my 3 assistant coaches, and I've always told parents over and over that a varsity football program is only as good as the assistants. And I've got 3 of the best. Mr. Gosnell, who helped us out this year and was one of the reasons why we ran practice a little bit later this year. He wasn't able to attend. But I have Larry Williams, who did all the defense. And the last thing I have before we'll go through some certificates is my other little story is about
about the parents will enjoy this. In fact, we talked about it after Ole, but on August the 15th, for the first time in years, on the Thursday after practice started on Monday, I got all the parents together and went through some of the rules and expectations. And I think about the last thing I said was, I can guarantee we'll have some fun, and I preceded that by saying, we're not going to win the state championship. And in fact, it's highly unlikely that we're going to win the Northwestern Conference. Well, at least half of my thing was wrong because we did win the Northwestern Conference, and that's a great tribute to all those 39 guys. First, we're going to do the junior varsity certificates. Now, the junior varsity finished with a record of 5 wins, 3 losses, and 1 tie. And they started out like a house afire. Looked like they probably would win every game. And then the varsity coach started stealing all the players, not letting them play junior varsity because he was worried they'd get injured for the playoffs. And so we kind of had a few problems at the end of the year. But the one good thing on the other side of the fence on that is that some of the younger kids got more experience in junior varsity games. And all these players that get introduced by Mr. Williams should stay up here. And these are the Rams of the future. So we need a nice round of applause after they've been introduced, okay? Eric Bullock. Jeff Cook. Sean Sear. 3 for 3. No Brett English isn't here. Aaron Ewing. Jeremiah Jarman. Ryan Jepson. Kevin Jocko. Ray Lackey. James Marshall. Jason Maynard. Jamie McDermott. Rory Mesner. Matt Pipper. Daniel Sull. It's our Up Valley crew. Devin Smith. Jason Bezzozo. Brandon Watson. And Mark Zonai. Again, thanks to the JVs for their efforts this year. Now we have a special certificate that is given out to players that make any state championship playoff games, and so we're going to give out, Mr. Gass is going to give out certificates to all the players that went to Olathe.
Looking at these certificates are kind of unique. It says the Colorado High School Activities Association presents this certificate in recognition to, and it has a participant's name, for participating in the 1991-92 school year in the state championship, state football championships. And then down here in small writing it says, redeem this coupon for a faster bus next year. These are kind of unique, and I think it's a great idea that the state is going presenting these, because this is something that obviously these kids will look back and reflect upon all the hard work that they did. These are presented to all the players that traveled with us to Olathe. It's been the bitter cold. Mickey Kavanaugh.
Criswell. David Derby. Teddy Slaney. Josh Portal. Devin Smith. Brandon Watson. Ray Lackey. Ryan Casebolt. Rob Harrington. Chad Huck. James McDermott. Shane Porter. Ben Muroff. Jeremiah Brown. Al Castillo. Kane Barnett. Jared Dasher. Brandon Coleman. Jared Ellison. Ryan Mesner. Mark Sonnhauser. Jason Pedrozo. Bo Crick. Lucas DeWitt. Sean Sear. Eric Bullock. Ryan Jepson. And last but not least, Doug Warren.
Okay, you guys can go for that. All right, you know what?
Football and running court, you have to play in 18 quarters, which is half of the 36 quarters of 9 games. The playoffs are all a bonus. It's still 18 quarters. And I honor players that play on the special teams. They play 18 quarters because the reason why I divide the coaching staff into 3 parts is I think that football is 1/3 offense, 1/3 defense, and 1/3 special teams. If you were there in the last 12 seconds at Steamboat Springs, you know 1/3 of the game is special teams. That's how we beat Steamboat. That's why we practice field goals and punts and extra points over and over and over. But somewhere down the line, it's going to win you a football game. So we honor everybody that plays in 18 quarters of varsity football. We had 2 freshmen that did a sensational job and played on special teams throughout the year, and we're looking forward to big things for them in the future. Bo Crick and Lucas DeWolf. Now, we had several sophomores that lettered, and we have a tremendous underclassmen, freshman, and sophomore class. The sophomores that lettered were Ted Neslanik, Doug Warren, Mickey Cavanaugh, David Derby, Sam Criswell, and Mike Conklin all lettered. Junior letter winners, Ryan Casebolt, Chad Huck, Rob Harrington, and James Porter.
58 senior letter winners will please come forward and sit right here. First person I should mention is Kane Barnett, because he's at his EMT class. I usually am not long-winded, you guys, but I realize you want the cake and the punch, but I just can't let these seniors go without saying a few words. I'm going to start a little tradition here, talking about seniors every year. Kane Barnett, we've asked him to play about 63 different positions in 4 years, and some of them he kind of questioned, some he kind of went along with, and I think we finally found a position at offensive guard that he could excel at this year, and I thanked him several times. I'll thank him again, I'm sure, during the year. But it's a tribute. At a small school like this, we need people to move around. It was nice of him to play offensive guard for us. Kane Barnett. Okay, we'll work our way through. First, we have Brandon Coleman. Come on up, Brandon. I wasn't, when we were going over prospects for this season in August or June or July or whatever, I wasn't sure if Brandon was going to come out for football this year, and he has just become a sensational football player for us. He played offensive tackle and defensive tackle. He was a unanimous choice defensive tackle on the All-Northwestern Conference team, and last year I think Brandon would be willing to admit that once in a while we had problems getting to practice on time or at all. And this year he was just a model citizen, and it's one of the things that makes coaching such a joy to see young men like Brandon come along, and it's tough to say goodbye. But boy, what an addition he's been to our program. Next senior is Ben Nuroff. Now, Ben and Ryan Casebolt helped us out last year. They were not eligible to play. They worked on our scout team for us. So Ben, this was really his first year of football. We threw him in there at quarterback. We knew he was a good athlete, and we watched him come along as the season went along. He became a sensational safety for us, and just a marvelous addition. I think Ben probably said it best the day after the Olathe game. He said, "Boy, I wish I had 4 years of this, but 1 year is better than none." And I hope that we've added a lot to his life. I know he's added a lot to ours. And we thank Ben for playing football for us. Alex Castile. Yeah, boss! 2 years ago, I think it was 2, wasn't it, Al? Yeah. 2 years ago, Al came out for football for the first time. He came to a couple of practices. Al was not in very good shape. He didn't start this year in very good shape. But 2 years ago, Al was really in bad shape. And Al lasted about 3-4 days, and he was gone like 2 or 3 or 4. I usually try not to ask other players on the team where somebody might have been, because it's kind of embarrassing if they have to, say where Al might have been. Al comes back. "Where were you, Al?" "Well, the weather was so good, Coach. Heck, I went fishing. I wasn't going to play football." So needless to say, Al's sophomore year came to a screaming halt, and about, I think practice had already started this year, and Al calls me up along and says, "Coach, I still want to play football." I think I put my hand over the telephone receiver and turned to Denise, and I said, "You won't believe who's on the telephone." It's Al, and he still wants to play football. I said, "Oh, good, let him come out." So Al comes out, and Al, by the end of the year, if you were in Olathe, if you were in Steamboat, if you were in Glenwood, Al became a very good defensive tackle for us. He did a sensational job, and Al was, in fact, all 8 of these guys, all of them, in fact, are an example of why coaching is so much fun. But Al was particularly special because if anybody told me by the end of your season, Al's going to be a pretty good football player for you, I'd have said, "I hope so, but I got my doubts. But Al, I think it's a great job, man. Great job. Next is Jared Dasher. Now, Jared came to me in the summer and he said, Coach, I think you need a fullback. I think I'd make a good one. And as I kind of looked down the roster over the summer, I thought, hey, we'll try anybody at fullback. So we'll give Jared a shot. Jared not only became an excellent fullback and did a marvelous job at linebacker, he was one of the finest leaders that I have seen in the 15 years that I've coached football. And you can't have a football program with 40 kids without some of the players taking over the leadership role. And Jared was just a sensational leader for us. The kids really looked up to him, and I think all the things that he did physically on the field, probably his biggest contribution was as a leader. And I thank Jared. Make sure all of you come back after you graduate and enjoy some games around here, okay? Thanks, Jared. Shane Porter. I think the best thing you can say about Shane Porter is he just lives and breathes football. He'd love it to be 12 months a year. And I know he was just heartbroken, as all the seniors were at Olathe. Shane came out as a freshman, and he's been a mainstay around here every year, with the exception of his sophomore year, when unfortunately got hurt. He has dominated everybody all year long on the line of scrimmage. There's only one person he couldn't dominate. On a couple of Tuesdays ago, he got laid flat on his back. I won't mention at all who that was, but he just met a match that he couldn't handle. But for all the games, Porter did a great job against everybody he went up against. This is unanimously the Northwest Conference Lineman of the Year, one of the finest linemen that I've ever coached, and it's been a pleasure to have Shane Porter for 4 years. Jeremiah Brown. This is pretty much Jeremiah's first year of football also. We had 3 out, Ben and Jeremiah, pretty much their contributions were this year. Jeremiah didn't come out, so I think about halfway through last year and just kind of played a little bit of junior varsity. He probably made the biggest single catch of the year when he caught that 50-yard touchdown pass. We won't tell anybody he stepped out on the 2-yard line. 50-yard touchdown pass to Steamboat that tied the game up. And for those of you that really follow football and you have an ebb and flow of the game, when Steamboat went ahead 14-7 on that Mickey Mouse Sandlot, whatever they call that fumblerooski play they run, that can really get teams down. And we came right back with some nice runs and a nice pass by Ben to Jeremiah to tie the game up. And if you never can signal out just one play of the year, but that was certainly one of the biggest plays we've had. It's been a pleasure to have Jeremiah here as a senior year. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it. Last, certainly not least, Jared Edelson. I think about 2 years ago at this time, I always get Mr. Gass and Mr. Williams together and I say, listen, who's in the student body that isn't playing football that we could coerce into coming out and maybe they could help our program? And both of them, the reaction was, let's get Jared Edelson. And I said to Larry Williams, who was coaching track, I said, you think we can get Jared? He said, well, we'll work on it. Jared wasn't real sure, and he came out last year, did a real nice job at defensive back, and this year he's become a mainstay of the team. He was our biggest deep threat on punts and kickoff returns, a nice wide receiver when we put him out at flanker, great halfback, excellent defensive halfback, and I'll tell you how much things change and what a joy it is to coaching. Now Jared, after we had to coerce him into coming out for football, is asking me to write letters to colleges around the state because he wants to continue his football career. So it's been a real pleasure to have Jared Edelson for 2 years. are your 20 letter winners from Roaring Fork High School. Thanks, you guys. Bye, guys. I got one more thing. Eddie, you'll be back up. Voting. All conference in the Northwestern League is done by, you get a certain amount of nominees, coaches. We nominate different players depending on where you finish in the league standings. And finishing first, got a lot of recognition for our players. We had 2 players who made honorable mention. As a defensive back, we had Ben Neroff, and as a linebacker, we had Rob Harrington at Baker Ford. And we had 6 players make first team All Northwestern Conference. At a linebacker, we had Jared Dasher. As a defensive back, we had Jared Ellison. As a defensive lineman, we had Brandon Coleman. And on offense, we had 3 nominees. We had the only sophomore to make the All Northwestern Conference team, and halfback, Ted Nieslanik. At tight end, we had Chad Huck. And an offensive tackle, and as I mentioned, the Northwestern Conference Lineman of the Year. Shane is also the second choice to represent the league in the Coaches All-State game, which will be held in Denver, I believe, about June 17th. It's Mark Drake, the quarterback from Steamboat, and Shane Porter. So Shane has a lot to be proud of. You guys need to leave again. A little more condition. Great, isn't it? We have a plaque for Best Lineman of 1991 and Best Back of 1991. The Best Lineman for 1991 is Shane Porter. And the Best Back for 1991 is Jared Evans. Let's see. No, you better go back again. One more time. Okay, now I saved these for last, and I was right, about 5 minutes will be less than 5. These awards are most special to me because these are the ones that are voted on by the players. We get together the Monday after the season, which you can imagine wasn't our happiest Monday this year, but as we move on, it'll be a lot to be proud of. And we get together, we vote on these 6 awards, and these are done strictly by the players. The coaches have no voting in this, and that's why they mean the most to me. And we have 6 awards. First, for the outstanding defensive back, as voted on by his teammates, is Ted Nieslanik. The outstanding defensive lineman is Brandon Coleman. The outstanding offensive back is Jared Ellison. outstanding offensive lineman is Shane Porter. I don't think anybody that was around the team that watched us all year will be surprised by this award. The most inspirational is Jared Dasher. Now, we had about 9 people get an award for most improved, including some freshmen, because we allow the freshmen to be most improved from August to November. But the most improved player is voted by his teammates, Al Castillo. Okay, my last thing is I promised 5 minutes would be, I want to thank the parents again, and coaches always look to the next year. I urge you to have your sons play other sports, because it has been found that the best grades are when your son is playing a sport during an athletic season. If they go home at 3:30 and have nothing to do, they say, "What the heck, I'll do my homework at 7 o'clock, fall asleep watching the soap operas and don't do any homework at all." They need to budget their time by playing sports. Play basketball, wrestle, play baseball, run track, do something, play baseball in the summertime, play a sport. And the other thing, I think I always finish every year with this, and I think that's the reason why we had such a great season, is the weight room is now at the high school. It will be open every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at 7:15 in the morning. Shove your child out of bed when it's minus 20, 36 inches of snow on the ground, and that's how we'll take it a step farther, and we'll have to have this meeting some year in December. We keep working at it. Thank you all. You enjoyed it.
As all of us, we all signed it and put our numbers on it. We started a new tradition this year with Joe Boos, and just putting Joe Boos up on the top of the lockers, which are just little troll dolls. And when we won our first game, when we had our first Joe Boo, he said, "Let's bury it." So now we have a little graveyard out in the football field, and I'm proud to be coached under Mr. Close, and I know all these guys are too. Coach of the year too. Yeah.